The last thing I remember cooking in that kitchen wasn't a fancy dish, just a simple, hearty casserole. My little Lily was right beside me, her tiny hand sneaking into the cheesy topping. The smell, cheese, butter, and love, that was home. That was belonging. 2 days later, my beautiful casserole was in the garbage. And that's how it began. That's how they told me. I was done. This kitchen, the one I rebuilt with my late husband George's insurance money, was my sanctuary. Robert, my son, and his wife, Clara, were too busy chasing ambition to notice how quickly their savings were disappearing. I poured over $12,000 into this space. I insisted on the 6-burner commercial gas range because I love to bake. That stove alone was over $4,000. I paid for the massive French door refrigerator to make sure there was always space for fresh food for the twins. And the silent dishwasher. I bought that too because Clara said she was too exhausted to do the dishes. I didn't just move in, I invested. My money built this comfort they called home. For years, I was the unseen engine, the cook, the cleaner, the quiet provider, the financial cushion they never had to acknowledge. If you felt this moment, hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell. New emotional stories await every week. Your support helps me know that my story and the struggle for dignity truly matters. But slowly, the appreciation curdled, the sacrifice turned into expectation, and that expectation festered into resentment. I was gradually demoted from contributor to the burden. It began with the quiet rules, the thermostat, locked at a constant chilly 68 degrees, a temperature my aching joints despised. They said my energy use was extravagant, so I started wearing 2 sweaters and thick wool socks instead of complaining about the cold. In the house I was paying to keep warm, I learned to keep my voice down, to not cough too loudly, to fade into the background. Then came the calculated food control. My beloved red stand mixer, the one that baked birthday cakes for 3 generations, was declared too clumsy for the pristine counters and exiled to the cold, damp garage. My own chipped, comfortable mug replaced by a sleek black ceramic one, an attempt to erase the small, personal, homey details I brought to their otherwise sterile environment. Every little rule, every restriction, chipped away at my dignity. Then came the final, unforgivable insult. I was making my famous garlic-heavy Italian sauce, the one George loved, the one that took 6 long hours to simmer. The whole house smelled of tomato and basil. Rich, warm, full of memories. Clara rushed in, holding her phone like a shield, her face a mask of artificial disgust. She didn't even look me in the eye. "Mom," she said, her voice sharp and dismissive. "That smell is powerful. My wellness coach says strong aromatics interfere with my detox. Can you please stop? The house needs to be scent neutral. For the next few weeks, scent neutral. My love, my labor, my cooking, all reduced to pollution." But I just stood there, smiling faintly, quiet on the outside, while inside, a seismic shift began. In that moment, I realized my worth to them was less than that of a scented candle. After the scent incident, the systemic takeover accelerated. Clara meticulously labeled every shelf in the fridge, placing tiny, expensive containers of clean-eating food on the top, pushing my stock pots and jars to the very back. The kitchen, once my warm refuge, became a cold, hostile workplace. I stopped cooking for them entirely and ate quiet, lonely meals in my room. That's when I noticed the other acts of erasing. My favorite family photo, the one of George and me laughing at the lake, was gone from the hallway. In its place, a cold, abstract piece of art that Robert insisted was more modern and elevated the space. I was being purged, not just from the kitchen, but from the very history of their home. Then came the final, brutal declaration. I was standing at the island, the custom marble one I had paid for, waiting for the tea kettle to whistle, when Clara rushed in, her eyes shining with ambition and self-importance. She had a manic excitement about her. "Mom," she said, cutting me off before I could speak, "I need to talk to you. The house is being featured in Modern Home magazine next week. They need a clean, minimalist look for the shoot. We've decided you're not allowed to use the kitchen anymore. Your presence Your cooking interferes with the aesthetic we are trying to convey. It's just for the shoot, but frankly, it's better this way. I stood there, staring at the sleek stove she was posing next to. The stove I had paid $4,000 for, she was using my investment as a prop, while treating the investor as a nuisance. I simply whispered, "Understood, Clara." I put the rolling pin down. I didn't argue. I didn't cry. That night, eating my last slice of apple pie, alone in my room, I realized the full scope of the betrayal. They hadn't just removed me from the kitchen. They had removed my existence from the family's picture, and that is when my quiet resolve hardened. If they wanted an empty kitchen, I would give them a sterile, honest to God, empty space, my way. I did not waste a single moment. Grieving the insult, my hurt, was now channeled into a cold, focused purpose. I was not moving out. I was preparing for a foreclosure of the heart. I retrieved the manila folder from the back of my closet. The receipts, crisp, clear, absolutely damning. My dedication wasn't emotional. It was documented in steel and marble. I opened my old laptop and began a detailed spreadsheet. This was not a debt list. It was an inventory of service and asset. I cross-referenced 8 years of bank statements. Every transaction linked to this house, the $12,000 for the kitchen appliances, was only the beginning. I tracked the premium gardening service for their curb appeal. I tracked the high-speed fiber internet that Clara claimed was crucial for her business. I even tracked the repeated unacknowledged payments for the twins' emergency dental work and summer camps. Then came the final, unforgivable total. I found the folded document, the $15,000 startup loan I gave Robert for his failed business venture, which he had quickly forgotten was a loan. Not a handout. I took a high-resolution photo of his signature. That loan agreement, which guaranteed his initial financial freedom, was now the final, most potent weapon in my arsenal. My total financial contribution was so staggering, it made their mortgage look like a small bill. I decided my act of justice could not be loud or messy. It had to be surgical, undeniable, perfectly timed. They valued aesthetics and wealth. I would remove the wealth and leave them with the empty aesthetic. I called my old friend Frank, who ran a discreet moving service. "Frank," I said, "I need you to move some personal assets out of my son's house. Everything you touch, I have the receipt for. It has to be silent." He was a man of few words and solid integrity. "Friday at noon, Eleanor," he confirmed. We chose Friday. Clara was at her all-day spa retreat, detoxing for the big magazine shoot. Robert was driving the children an hour away. Distracted, careless. I had a clean 6-hour window. Frank and his assistant arrived, moving like shadows. They were professionals, wearing gloves and soft-soled shoes. We started small, the Instant Pot. My only personal kitchen indulgence, the red stand mixer, the high-powered blender Clara used for her precious green detox smoothies. We carefully packed every single Le Creuset pot, the heavy-duty baking sheets, and even my old spice rack, which Clara had relegated to a junk drawer. Then came the giants, the French door refrigerator. Frank expertly unhooked the water lines and wheeled it out, where the sleek silver appliance once stood. There was now a gaping black hole, a monument to absence. The faint, lingering smell of fresh food was instantly replaced by the raw, musty dust of the exposed wall. I watched the refrigerator leave and felt a profound sense of release. The dishwasher bolted in tight. It came out with a grinding sound, leaving behind a raw, empty space under the counter. I remembered Clara once complaining that she was too exhausted to keep up with the dishes. I had bought her time and convenience, and she paid me back with exclusion. The commercial gas range was the most difficult. It took nearly an hour of meticulous work to unbolt and disconnect the gas line. When Frank finally slid it onto the dolly, the kitchen floor was visible. Where it once stood, a dark, shadowed square of linoleum that hadn't seen daylight in 8 years. The visual impact was stunning. The kitchen was ruined, surgically dismantled. We left only the items Robert had originally bought years ago, a cheap, dusty microwave, and a small, slow coffee machine. Everything of value was gone, just as Frank was loading the final item. My granddaughter Lily called Robert's phone, which he had carelessly left behind. Her voice, high-pitched and hysterical. "Grandma, are you there? Dad left me at the bus stop, and he won't answer his phone. I need my blanket. He forgot me." They had forgotten the appliance owner, and they had now forgotten their own child. I told Lily I was coming to get her. I put the phone down, signed a final note, and walked out. I had to leave the house to save a child from their inexcusable neglect. Did this story move you? Share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to know what part touched you the most. Your perspective truly matters to me. I drove away, not with the appliances, but with Lily, safely buckled in the back seat. I dropped her off at a trusted friend's house, making sure she was calm and safe. I then drove to a tiny, furnished apartment and checked in, feeling the immense relief as the lock clicked with my key, a key that belonged only to me. On the pristine, empty marble island of their kitchen, I left two things: the original, signed loan agreement for $15,000, marked demand for repayment, due 30 days, the time for quiet contribution was over, and next to it, I left a handwritten note to Clara and Robert. You wanted clean lines, you wanted less clutter. I have removed the bulk, the sentiment, the sustenance. The appliances I purchased now occupy a space where they are valued, not used as props for a magazine. You are left with your aesthetic. Enjoy the quiet, what I paid for. I took what you kept, an empty, silent space. You can keep, I signed it, Eleanor. No mom, no love, just the name of the woman they chose to discard. I turned off my old phone, silencing the connection. I wasn't waiting for a thank you. I was waiting for the echo of their panic and the eventual knock of reality. The chaos began. Precisely at 7:45 p.m., I imagined the scene. Robert and Clara walking into their dream kitchen, only to find the monumental gaping holes where the fridge and stove once stood. Robert's voicemail, tight, then quickly panicked. He demanded to know where the fridge was. "The kids' milk," he shouted, suddenly caring about their nourishment. Clara's voicemail, hysterical, her voice sharp, with pure entitlement. "Eleanor, the commercial range is gone. The caterer is due Monday. How am I supposed to heat the frozen canapes? You need to bring the mixer back right now. Who takes the Instant Pot? That was so petty. And the coffee maker? We can't even function without the coffee maker." They finally missed something I bought. Robert called again, his voice breaking down. "Mom, the kids are crying. I can't even get them a clean bowl. I'm trying to order delivery, but I can't find my wallet. And the house is freezing. Why is the thermostat stuck? Mom, please, just tell us what you want." I didn't want anything they could give me now. They had lost the appliances, but more importantly, they had lost the infrastructure of their lives. I met my new neighbor, Mrs. Rodriguez, a kind, fierce woman. She brought over a plate of delicious, homemade food. We sat in my small space, and I told her the entire story. She looked at me, not with pity, but with respect. "Good for you, mihija," she said. "You took the heart back. That is better than any money." Her validation was better than any apology from Robert. I went to my lawyer. "Miss Carter," I asked her to send one final formal letter, along with the official demand for the $15,000 loan repayment. To Robert and Clara, the value of a mother is not measured in dollars, but in the sustenance she provides. You replaced my care with contempt and my contributions with aesthetic. I have taken back what is physically mine, and I now expect the repayment of the loan that funded your initial greed. You have lost your cook, your silent investor, and your free staff. More importantly, you have lost the woman who chose to love you unconditionally. I sealed the envelope and walked to the window. The magazine shoot was ruined. The caterer was gone. My son and his wife were left with their empty, expensive shell. They finally had their minimalist aesthetic, but they had nothing. To eat, I looked at my small, chipped mug sitting on my own counter. I had peace, and this time, I wasn't just in the house. I owned the peace inside. I wasn't needed anymore until I was missed, and there is a world of difference. If my story touched you, remember to hit that like button Subscribe and ring the bell, and please, share your thoughts in the comments below. Your support is the dignity I finally reclaimed.